Happy Friday, everyone. Okay, so ECB, what went down yesterday? Okay, basically interest rates were held unchanged. Okay, so the three different rates: main refinancing operations rate, marginal lending facility, and the deposit facility rates, all remains unchanged. Okay, now here comes the fun part. The size of quantitative easing remains unchanged. Okay, that means the APP, okay, will proceed at a rate of 20 billion euro per month, okay, while the PEPP, okay, remains at 1,850 billion euro in total, okay, and will be run until at least the end of 2022, or as and when the central bank judges that the pandemic is over. Okay, so that's the size of the quantitative easing. Okay, the central bank, okay, actually opted for a reduction of pace in the PPP. Okay, so what this means is that so at the moment, I think the central bank, okay, ECB, is actually purchasing some 80 billion euros worth of assets under the PEPP quantitative easing. Okay, so they may actually be they are actually planning to cut down this the rates of 80 billion per month to I don't know how much. Okay, they did not mention how much, but there are speculations out there that it may be in the range of 60 to 70, 50 to 70, okay, 50 to 70 billion euros per month. Okay, now the question that you guys may have in your mind is that is this considered a tapering, right? I mean, buying less is probably as good as tapering. Okay, we actually have an answer for this, and it comes straight from the ECB president, Christine Lagarde. Okay, so she made it very clear that this reduction of pace in the PEPP is not tapering. Okay, so what it is, it's just a recalibration. Okay, that's the term she used, recalibration. Okay, so this decision, this whole action, okay, what does it do, right? I quote from her, okay, this is to calibrate the pace of our purchases in order to deliver on our goal of favorable financing conditions. Okay, so I believe from time to time, some of the central banks, not all, but some central banks, such as the ECB itself, will recalibrate, okay, the pace of their assets purchases, as and when they deem it's important, okay, for them to achieve their goal. All right. So I think she also mentioned that the last time they actually did this slowing down or this recalibration, okay, was I think last March and last December. Okay, so if you guys actually remember, I think the Bank of England actually did something like that a few months ago. Okay, and the governor Andrew Bailey actually came out and say, like, this is not a tapering, right, guys? This is not tapering. Chill, this is not tapering. This is just some slowing down pace or recalibration. So I guess these two central banks, they are doing something similar. So initially, okay, upon the release of the statement, right, there was actually a brief strengthening in the euro across the board. All right. So when Christine Lagarde actually clarified during her press conference that this is not a tapering, this is just a recalibration of our policy, unfortunately, euro took quite a bad hit, I would say, right? But throughout the whole session yesterday, okay, overall, okay, this is from a macro perspective, right? Euro was pretty mixed. In terms of the strength, okay, in terms of the direction. We don't see a clear, I would say, a clear direction coming from the central bank. It's coming from the euro because of, markets trying to decipher, is this really a tapering or is this not a tapering, right? Yes, Christine Lagarde has said that this is a recalibration, but I mean, how much weightage is this whole calibration in terms of moving towards the policy normalization, right? So this actually left the market kind of like, not here and there kind of thing in a very mixed situation, okay? So another thing that Christine Lagarde actually highlighted is the PPP. Okay, as you guys know that the PPP will run until at least March 2022. So as of now, March 2022 is the current end date for the program for the PPP, right? So traders out there, they were actually analysts, okay, the market in general, they're actually curious about what's going to happen if the PPP is going to end. I mean, after all, they have already been buying some like 800 over billion worth of bonds, right? So if they were to actually achieve that target by March 2022, hence ending the program, what's next? Are they going to further extend this program? How are they going to decide the fate of the PPP, right? So Lagarde actually mentioned that, there's no discussion being taken place this time around during the meeting, okay, among the whole ECB committee members. Such discussion will actually take place during the December meeting, okay? So from now until December, unlikely we are going to hear anything about the fate of the PPP, right? Because, well, there's still like some 6 months to go. It's still a bit early, okay? So that is for the PPP, right? Now, the central bank also released their economic projections, quarterly economic projections. Well, I would say this time around it's quite a positive revision, I would say, right? So as mentioned previously, focus will be on the inflation from now on, right? Ever since the forward guidance has been revised. So for 2021, okay, inflation expectation has actually been revised upwards from the previous 1.9% to a 2.2%, which is slightly above the central bank's target. That's good, right? For 2022, it has been revised upwards as well from 1.5% to 1.7%. And then for 2023, it has been revised upwards to 1.5%. So overall, in the short to medium term of the horizon, okay, we actually see a positive revision to inflation, right? So I think during the previous release of the economic projections, when they actually revised upwards, the market was actually worried about the medium term to long term inflation outlook, right? Because yes, there was an upwards revision previously, but it's nowhere close to the central bank's 2% target, right? However, this time around, we are continuing to see an upwards revision in inflation, which means, well, it's good, right? Yes, 1.7 for 2022, 1.5 for 2023 is still below the 2% target. But if inflation were to be were to remain that strong, okay, then we may actually be seeing a further upwards revision during the December's meeting, right? So yeah, that's all for the ECB, okay, for now. They will be holding their next meeting on 28th of October. So unlikely, any mentioning about PPP's fate will take place. And, from here on, I believe the central bank will actually will continue to pay attention, on the current COVID situation in the Eurozone, as well as how inflation will perform from now on, right? Because, if inflation were to remain sustainable, then there will be more convincing to the committee members of the central bank, in terms of maybe consider a tapering announcement. So as of now, I'm still keeping with my I'm staying with my stand that the central bank may, okay, announce a tapering in December during December's meeting. Okay, so yeah, that's the end of the that's the last meeting for this week, okay, in terms of central bank, right?